Oh, look who decided to show up for work! Man, shut up! I can't have a bad day. Get out of here. Let's go! Why not? The Toronto Maple Leafs! I guess my brand is a yell and scream. I don't script these. Are the Leafs alright? So what you get is from the heart. Welcome to LFR. Victory, puppy Ziggy! Can you imagine being mad at this team? Can you imagine being mad at anything that's not a squirrel? Oh, I should probably give you the treat, huh? Oh, you missed it! I love you, come back! I always feel better when I get to do this. Leafs win! 5-3 over the Winnipeg Jets. It's better when they win. The deserved to win-o-meter is good. It is a predictor of success, and it tells you who is playing better generally. But by far the more fun meter is the actually won-o-meter, and the Leafs did. Hi there, Steve Dangle, and welcome to LFR, where I talk about every single Leafs game after every single Leafs game, and I have for a very long time. This is season number 14, and no, I'm not stopping. Chill. Look, we talked about it on yesterday's podcast, and it was a long discussion that was sort of in two parts, and I think you would really enjoy it if you check that out on the Steve Dangle Podcast YouTube channel, or on Spotify, or on blah, 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 blah. It's on a bunch of stuff. But since I said stuff on this channel, I'll briefly talk about it on this channel before we get into the game. Listen, I said if the Leafs lose in the first round again, I need to reconsider making a video after every Leafs game. That did not mean throwing the whole channel in the garbage. But basically what I said on the show, listen, yes, the Leafs lost back-to-back games against the Canucks. I don't care what any meter or shot count or anything said. You can't lose either of those two games, let alone both. They hadn't played in a month. They shot the team that hadn't played in a month? Wow, here's a medal. I hope fans are allowed back in the stands soon so that they can be there for when the Leafs hang that banner. But basically what I said is it's not just about the Leafs. Believe it or not, I know this channel gives off different vibes, but believe it or not, I do not walk around my house all day going, what is Justin Hall doing in front of the net? Move somebody! Engvall's spot in the lineup is nowhere near secure enough to take the amount of penalties he does. I'm not gonna lie, it's like that for some of the time, but not as much as you think. No, it's mostly, boy, I sure would love to share my beautiful 10-month-old son with my friends and family and loved ones. My mom and sister's vaccine appointment was canceled. Sure hope that gets rescheduled soon. Gosh, it's so cute that Leo loves swimming now. What's that? We can't go swimming? That's okay, we'll just go to the park. Oh, you have bad news about that too. Oh, no, you are allowed, but things are so bad the premier is crying on live television. Okay. We've all been struggling. We've all had on and off a terrible time over the past, is it 13 months now? The difference is I'm on the podcast twice a week, the Sportsnet channel 2 or 3 times a week, and on this channel 4, sometimes 5 times a week. So when all of you, from a place of love and meaning well, we're like, are you okay? No. But are any of us? But at the end of the day, I get to make videos in a room that, to people who don't know, looks a bit like a toy dungeon. Anyway, you don't need to hear any more of this. Thank you for always being there, and thank you for understanding. Now, to get back to what you came for, the Leafs ended up winning the game, and the parade is back on! This was a fun little game of cat and mouse. Before the game begins, which will be rapid fire, there were a lot of important decisions, and there's some more coming up. Number 1, not only does Jack Campbell get the start, but Sheldon Keefe says we need him, we expect him to be good like he was last time. First of all, that's a tremendous vote of confidence from your head coach. Second of all, it helps quell some of my worries that Jack is battling an injury again like he has been for a big chunk of the season. So if it's not an injury thing, then it's a confidence thing, and there's really only one way to get past that. Through it. Number 2, Zach Bogosian is out of the lineup, and Sheldon Keefe decided to go back to his more traditional pairs. So we got Riley Brody again, we got Muzzin Hall again, and now it's Sandin on the left of the third pair and Dermott on the right. By the way, Bogosian's injury is listed as upper body, which is incredible to me because I watched his legs twist like a wrung cloth. Third, and how is his third? Nick Foligno making his Leafs debut, and why not make it a good one? He's with Matthews and Marner. Second line, Galchenyuk, Tavares, Nylander, like that. Engvall, Kerfoot, Simmons, why is that? Oh, because Thornton, Brooks, Spezza, there's a couple people missing. Engvall comes into the lineup for an injured, day-to-day injured Ilya Mikheyev. It sounded like he was going to play and that he didn't. Makes sense. There's no point in risking. And it makes sense that Engvall would replace him because he's sort of Mikheyev light. And then Brooks is in, which is super cool. Where is Nick Robertson? Something I had completely forgotten about from reporter Chris Johnson from Sportsnet. Nick Robertson comes out of the Leafs lineup tonight in Winnipeg. He'll burn the first year off his entry-level contract with one more game played. So yeah, if he plays a certain amount of games, I guess one more game, then the first year of his entry-level deal gets burned. The first question I saw was, does this include playoffs? I didn't really get a concrete answer, so I'm looking into that. I think it does, I just want to confirm. Second, this is unfortunate for Nick Robertson, but it's absolutely the right decision. There's no reason to burn his entry-level deal. They have so many options. And I think Robertson's been good, and I know he's going to be even better, way better. He's going to be a great player in this league, but is he so good right now that he has to be in the lineup and you have to burn that first year? I don't think so. For the rest of the way, he is a break glass in case of emergency. Mikheyev's going to come back. Hyman's going to come back. Brooks is playing fantastically. You can't tell me Nick Robertson is that much more lethal than Nick Patan right now. I certainly think he's going to be, but if he's going to be in like a third or fourth line role, it doesn't make much sense. So, now you know all those things. Are you ready for the beginning of the game? Less than 30 seconds in, the new look top line is going to work. Mitch Marner sends a pass to Austin Matthews. Beautiful reception at the offensive blue line. Snipes on Connor Hellebuck. That's it. 34 for 34. It's 1-0 Leafs. 27 seconds in. Matthews isn't fair. He is not fair. He is the best goal scorer in the NHL right now. Yes, I was very negative last video, but Leafs Nation, I need you to understand that the best goal scorer in hockey currently plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's pretty cool. And were it not the best goal scorer in hockey, I might look sideways at Connor Hellebuck like, Connor, you good? Now, less than a minute later and still less than 90 seconds into the game. Justin Hall behind his own net. Nice little chip out of his own zone, but he's about to get a very generous secondary assist. Wayne Simmons at the offensive blue line gets the entry by getting the puck to John Tavares. Really weird combination of forwards right there. Tavares, Engvall, and Simmons. Simmons attacks the high slot. Tavares gets it to him. Simmons has it on his backhand. You know he's about to have a backhand, but you don't know where it's going to go because it's a backhand. Simmons rips the backhand. Choo-choo! This one through Connor Hellebuck. He's looking around like he has no idea where it is because he doesn't. And it's 2-0 Leafs, a minute 18 in. And I gotta tell you, Leafs fans, the Jets have given the Leafs trouble this year. They really have. And like I mentioned earlier, I think there's a chance if the Leafs win around and the Jets win around. Well, no, there's not a chance. That's what'll be happening. The Leafs will have to play the Jets in the playoffs. The Leafs, if they're getting some saves and they're relatively healthy, I think should beat any team in the country, and they should definitely beat the Jets. Yes, the Jets are vicious, and they have a lot of talent. They're really opportunistic, and obviously, when you have a Vezina-winning goalie, who wasn't a Vezina-winning goalie tonight, but he usually is, yeah, you can win some games. But boy, a theme throughout this season in Leafs and Jets games, their forwards are something else on the back check. Each defender has a guy, cool, but the reason I took this specific screenshot is that is Paul Stastny to the left of Wayne Simmons right there, about to enter the slot. The reason I chose this specific screenshot, this is Paul Stastny pushing off for his last stride of the shift. For reference, this is when the puck leaves Wayne Simmons' stick. I haven't watched enough of Paul Stastny to know if this is something he does often. Blake Wheeler, I've noticed it's a theme. The Leafs, this is why I get upset whenever they lose. Because they're so good, yes, I expect them to win every game. And I know they're not going to, and I'm not going to bite their head off every time they lose a game. I just want them to beat teams who haven't played in a month. Nope, we're past it. Anyway, they're up 2-0, 1:18 into the game, and the tweets flood in. See, Steve, what are you panicking for, ya big baby? 3 minutes and 19 seconds into the game, the puck goes into the slot, and Justin Hall, who is on the shutdown pair, by the way, looks at Mark Scheifele like a deer in headlights. A deer in headlights might say that they look like Justin Hall in the slot. Scheifele bangs it in, and all of a sudden, I'm getting fewer tweets. And a little over halfway through the first period, the Leafs get the puck in their own zone. TJ Brody sends a terrible pass over to Morgan Riley, tips it to Mason Appleton, to Andrew Kopp into the wide open net. D-A-N-G-L-E, spell it right, Steve_Dangle, send your apologies there. And so many people like, dude, they're still in first. They've still been the Leafs the whole time. They've been the Toronto Maple Leafs for longer than they've been in first. Listen, if this is your first season watching hockey, I completely understand your unchecked optimism for the Toronto Maple Leafs. For the rest of you, what are you doing? I feel like I'm being gaslit by half the fan base. Feels like something might be off. Don't be a silly goose there, Screamy Man. I know what I'm seeing. Ooh, this pomade's got hold. Anyway, it's a tie game. Until, because it was one of those games, just over 90 seconds later, the Leafs in the offensive zone, it goes to the point. Joe Thornton is there and blasts it on. It's in! And Joe Thornton, who has not produced an eternity, scored, and Paul Maurice said, that's all I needed to see. Get out! And it was interesting to see the juxtaposition between Sheldon Keefe, taking Jack Campbell, who has really struggled of late, and he just goes, no, he's good. He's going to be good. I'm playing him. Versus Paul Maurice, who has a goalie who, yes, has allowed 3 goals in 6 shots, but has also won the actual Vezina, and he goes, get out. Now, as I checked the box score this morning, apparently that is Jason Spezza's goal, his 10th of the season, which is a Leafs high for him. And it's a shame because they announced on the broadcast that at 41 years of age, Joe Thornton had become the oldest player to score a goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Instead, it was awarded to the youthful sophomore Spezza. And I would have had the record if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Before the end of the first, the Leafs actually need a few saves out of Campbell, and he provides in a big way. He stops the puck, Pierre-Luc Dubois takes a stab at it, and Simmons walks him like a dog. Simmons takes the penalty, totally worth it, and the Leafs actually kill it off as well. I don't have the sheet in front of me, but just from memory, from doing these LFR videos, the Leafs have taken, this is 3 or 4 penalties now defending whoever the goalie is, and I believe they've killed off every single one. Good. And Dubois, as we learned in the playoffs, and it appears to have continued, is so not so subtly greasy. And Simmons getting his face was cool and everything, but I'm looking at Nick Foligno like, is this the first time that someone who played on this year's Blue Jackets is playing Pierre-Luc Dubois because drama? And he was the former captain, and look at that, they don't appear to like each other, someone put the kettle on. But it would not go much farther than that, and I can't just focus on Dubois. There were a couple other greasy things in this game. One happened in the first, one happened later in the game, but let's talk about them both now. Alex Galchenyuk beamed Adam Lowry. He got him right in the head. There wasn't a penalty on the play. Supplemental discipline, personally, I don't think he should get anything on account of it looked like a pure accident. And players are always like, oh, I didn't mean to, but I think there's a difference between a player didn't mean to hurt anybody but was negligent, and I literally did not mean to collide with that person, which I think is what happened here. Joe Thornton on Matthew Perreault, however, he did get a 2-minute minor on the play, but I think he's going to get a call from the league, and he's going to get 1 or 2 games. Perreault would leave the game, he would come back, but it's exactly the kind of hit that we don't want in hockey. Were you going to punish him for being tall? No, I think it was the head contact, sir. So, rather eventful first period, but it sure was exciting. Now it's up to the coaches to make it nice and boring. Not boring, but certainly tighter, and you want to replicate a playoff atmosphere in this one, and they definitely did with the intensity and the physicality. And a decent way into the second, the Leafs take back the 2-goal lead. Puck is behind the Leafs net. It squirts loose, Mitch Marner along the half wall. Preposterous tip. Now, it definitely wasn't the most elegant thing I've ever seen. Nick Foligno accidentally passed it to himself, and Matthews bobbled it a bit, but they get the entry. The zony, if you will. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about that. That's the stupid new thing that I like. Whenever I'm playing EASHL and we get a good zone entry, I'm like, sick zony, brah. Zonies. We're making them a thing. Anyway, Austin Matthews has the puck, and hey, you want to see how much teams are afraid of Austin Matthews? Oh, the disrespect to Mitch. That is literally Mitch Marner. How dare you, all of you. Matthews gets it to Marner. One-timer, he's got a new toy, and the Leafs get the 2-goal lead back off the one-timer past Laurent Brossoit. No, wait, what is it Adam said on the podcast? Brossoit! Man, Mitch Marner, listen, his one-timer doesn't look anything like Austin Matthews' one-timer, but it's a one-timer. It's there. Phil Kessel was way over-criticized in this city, and I'm not going to take Ron Wilson's side on many topics. However, he did say something about Phil Kessel years ago that I thought was right, and it applies to so many players. Because even though the Leafs were losing games, like, Kessel's producing, and he's scoring goals and stuff, like, he wasn't bad, but Wilson was like, can you mix in a slap shot, like a backhander, like anything, like can you be a little bit more versatile? And you might go, why would Phil Kessel do those things? He's got one of the most lethal wrist shots in the world. But can you imagine if Austin Matthews had that attitude? Nope, I'm just not going to improve. Or even Phil Kessel, who ended up winning 2 Stanley Cups. Mitch Marner is so much more dangerous, or like I tweeted last night, such a much more dangerous player. People were telling me that's not English. It's English to me. Anyway, he's such a much more dangerous player this year because of all the stuff he can do. And he's a legitimate, I almost said such a much, he's a legitimate goal-scoring threat now. Which sounds disrespectful to say of a guy who pretty regularly scores 20 goals in this league, but he is a better goal scorer than he was before. He makes himself more dangerous. That makes Austin Matthews more dangerous, and it makes the Toronto Maple Leafs more dangerous. They're dangerous. Mitch Marner's a huge part of that. How long was this clip? And the Leafs would hold that 2-goal lead for nearly the entire second, but not quite. This should absolutely be a penalty, and it was pointed out on the broadcast. If you look to the left of the screen, that is Mark Scheifele going down, and while he's going down, he is clearly holding on to Jake Muzzin and his stick to the point of ripping the stick out of Muzzin's hand. That takes Muzzin completely out of the play. It causes disarray. Galchenyuk tries his best, but Kyle Connor, unguarded from that spot, he's not going to miss too often. That gets past Jack Campbell, and we head into the second intermission, head into the third period, with a 1-goal game. Like I said, the more I'm getting familiar with the Winnipeg Jets, they have a bunch of players who are pretty easy to dislike in a playoff series, I'm pretty sure. We already know about Dubois. Nikolai Ehlers is exhausting, but Scheifele so often does little sneaky stuff like that. He is Marchand light. He really is. He's not going to lick you, but he's going to do stuff like that. A lot of holding on to you, a lot of diving, a lot of I've fallen and I can't get up. He's a great player, but he dives. Please don't come at me like this is a controversial take. This is nearly a decade old. Remember what you said about him during the World Juniors? Yeah, exactly. But in the third period, yes, the Leafs have to kill off the Joe Thornton penalty from when he hit Matthew Perreault in the head. But in the third period, they had to hold down the fort. We need a boring game. Sheldon Keefe doesn't want to be winning this game 8-7. But to wrap this game up in the final period, in a game where we went in with Sheldon Keefe essentially showing confidence in Jack Campbell, but also challenging Jack Campbell, Jack Campbell stops 14 of 14, and the Leafs win. And the cherry on top, Nick Foligno, with an opportunity to score his first as a Leaf, goes for the spin pass, gives it to Marner for his second of the game with the empty netter, and Nick Foligno picks up his first Leafs point. He did not get an assist on the first Marner goal. I don't know. I thought he was more deserving than Justin Hall on the Wayne Simmons one, but whatever. And I love that from Nick Foligno because he knows he's getting a point and he knows he's about to cap off a win, but he does not, I would imagine, want his first goal as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs to be an empty netter with like 5 seconds left. Unselfish play from an unselfish player. That's a hat pick. No, Steve, that's later today. Leafs win. They're good again. Questions. From Amanda. He's got big eyes, always alert to danger, and oh so lovable. Therefore, Nick Foligno is a meerkat, right? Shall we start calling him Timon? He's kind of like Timon, but with Pumbaa's size and grit. But no. No. From Undead Meathead, was the recent slide part of line fatigue with the injection of Foligno being a welcome boost, or was the slide part of a regression to the mean? I mean, mostly regression. Also, the goaltending was wildly bad, like unusually bad, making me think that everyone is hurt bad. But it is also the Leafs defensively losing attention to detail. And we saw it in this game too. They ended up winning, and Justin Hall had 2 points, but they lost attention to detail. The play where Muzzin got his stick clear yanked out of his hands, I don't know how much I'm going to fault them for that. The Brody pass to Riley was brutal from the two of them. Justin Hall in front of his own net. Like, they got to be better than that. They got to be better than that for me to believe that they realistically can win the Stanley Cup. Similar question from Ashley. Do you think Foligno being in the lineup had something to do with the team's performance? Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, whenever there's a rookie or just anyone new in the lineup and they score or they produce or they do anything, it's always a shot of adrenaline. And Nick Foligno was clearly that in this game. We still suck or nah? I never said they... Nah. It's nah. And I want to give a special shout out to Adam Brooks for that game. That's a player, man. That's a player. I don't know if that guy should be coming out of the lineup. Engvall was in this lineup because they needed a winger in the absence of Ilya Mikheyev, but when Mikheyev is back and they need a fourth line center, that guy, Adam Brooks, 100%. So, I hope you like this one, but for now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. We got a brand new podcast that we uploaded last night, including an interview with Josh from Vaccine Hunters Canada. If you're looking to get a vaccine, extremely valuable resource.